The Xiaomi K20 Pro is a blatant OnePlus 7 clone. Changed my mind. Hey, my name is Mitchell. Before we start this video, I want to thank everyone that uses my affiliate links. Without your support, we couldn't keep the channel going. Also, I've been really active on Twitter, so let's go ahead and try to interact over there. If you like taking photos, go ahead and check out Xiaomitography. It's a place where I share your content on Instagram. For this video, I have a long article I've put up on my website. It's really interesting, and if this subject is interesting to you, go ahead and check out that article. You guys know the drill. You want to chat, hit the Telegram, and let's just do it. Now, Xiaomi has a long history of taking blatant inspiration or copying other products. Specifically, it's been Apple. The Xiaomi Mi 4 looked eerily similar to an iPhone 4S. We've had devices like the Xiaomi Mi A1 or Mi 5X that look incredibly similar, at least the back design does, to the Apple iPhones. We've even had things like Xiaomi computers being almost blatant knockoffs of Apple laptops. Last year we had the Xiaomi Mi 8, which was nearly a clone of an iPhone X, including like facial unlock with an infrared camera, although not quite as secure as Apple's 3D face unlock. And now we have Xiaomi making a copy of the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now, in the past, when Xiaomi has taken this design and this inspiration from other companies, there haven't necessarily been that many issues with it, per se, because they're making certain compromises that don't necessarily affect the longevity of a device. My mother is using a MiBook Air I bought her almost 2 years ago, and it still works to this day totally fine. And for things like laptops, which don't necessarily get beat up or abused in the same way that a phone would, having a derivative product or a company trying to make a copy of a product at a cheaper price point, those aren't always necessarily bad things. And for the most part, Xiaomi's design language is very Apple inspired, but still different enough from Apple, such as Xiaomi Mi AirDots Pro. They look very much like a pair of AirPods, but the function of them is not necessarily heavily compromised, let's say. But we get to the Redmi K20 Pro with its glass build, its motorized camera, and this is the first time we've seen Xiaomi make a blatant attempt at copying a company that's kind of not Apple. Now, what I mean by that is last year, Xiaomi introduced the Poco F1, which was specifically for the Indian market, and they aimed it at the OnePlus 6 and OnePlus 6T, going as so far as to make specific ads targeting OnePlus. Now here we are in the middle of 2019, and OnePlus is one of the fastest growing kind of premium or mid-tier smartphone manufacturers in India, and then Xiaomi takes the majority of the design language, the design itself, and they port that over to the K20 Pro, specifically for the Indian market. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's good aspects that come from that. Would have liked to have a plastic back. I think it would have been more durable, specifically because Xiaomi has to import more Gorilla Glass from Corning into India, which is bringing up the price of the device. So a plastic back could have been manufactured anywhere. They could have saved money and given us some other features. So it's more about making compromises I like or I don't like. But specifically the reason I wanted to talk about Redmi K20 Pro and the fact that it's a kind of a blatant ripoff of the OnePlus 7 is the complexity of the motorized camera and some of the compromises it made to the cameras or other features, or memory for that sake. But this is a good example. So this is a Nalgene water bottle. These water bottles are manufactured in the US, and it uses polycarbonate to give you a really tough and durable water bottle. I've dropped this quite a few times, and short of putting it in the freezer to freeze and cracking it that way, the bottles are nearly indestructible. That said, I could buy another polycarbonate water bottle not manufactured in the US, and it would still be relatively break resistant, and it would still have a lot of the same characteristics simply because it's also made from polycarbonate. There's nothing unique or special about this water bottle that necessitates me spending a premium on it, especially if we're talking about like the longevity of the device. Contrast that with this. This is a Leatherman. Now, this is essentially a multi-tool. It has a variety of tools on it, pliers, screwdrivers, as I just showed you guys, bottle openers, files, package openers, a knife, and scissors. Now, this is a lot more complex than this water bottle is. And while I was in Kuala Lumpur and I went to the Xiaomi store, I saw that Xiaomi made a product very similar to this Leatherman, but there's no way I would have bought it. Let me explain. For an item like this, something that I take with me everywhere and that I use extensively, kind of like my smartphone, I need it to be as rugged, dependable, and as durable as possible. I don't necessarily care about it looking pretty if it's not compromising the use of the device and the longevity of the device. Similar to with the Redmi K20 Pro or any smartphone. And if you saw my last case review, my favorite case for the device is a very thick, durable, rugged case because my cell phone goes with me anywhere. I ride a motorcycle. If I were to get in an accident or if something were to happen to me, that device is basically how I communicate with the outside world. And similar to that, this goes on me with motorcycle trips if I need to tune the carburetor or fix the bike, which is something I've used this tool for. I can't have it fail. So they serve a very similar purpose. But this is more complicated, and the quality of the metal and the quality of the components that go into making vital parts of it, like the knife, like the pliers, like the actual tools that you're using, is important. Now, this is more expensive, considerably more expensive than the Xiaomi made device, but this is made in America and it's made with more premium materials. So would I be willing to compromise few of the functionalities to ensure that I have even higher quality components for the things I need? Yeah, I would. And that kind of is a summation of what my issues were with the K20 Pro. They decided to give us a motorized camera, which, like it or not, there's going to be more compromises because it's coming in at a cheaper price point than the OnePlus. We now have issues with like carrier aggregation for the Indian market. People in India are saying that something about the way the carrier bands are aggregated, they're not getting as fast of LTE speeds with this device as they are with the OnePlus 7. It doesn't have NFC in India. And we just see that Xiaomi has cut corners on the device. Whereas if they had given us a simpler device, they could have cut less corners, given us just like an higher quality of product. Now on a device like the Xiaomi Mi 8 that has no moving parts, it still has your same rear mounted fingerprint scanner. So the likelihood of something like that failing on us is considerably less. And so we saw pretty good components used for like the camera and for the screen and things like that. Now I just want to say, I have gotten a lot of criticism as being a Redmi K20 Pro hater, and I've gotten a lot of criticism about people saying that I'm being paid by Realme to make videos about why the K20 Pro is bad, and that's all false. But I think what I want to say is that derivative design isn't necessarily bad. Copying another company's design language isn't bad. But when you have to compromise the quality of the components used or give us certain compromises so that we can get things like a glass back, I don't like those compromises. So that kind of wraps up my issues with the Redmi K20 Pro. It's not that I don't like the Redmi K20 Pro, I just don't like the compromises that were made when constructing the device. That's really the only issues I have with it, and outside of that, it is a good phone. I am using it every day, and on the Android Q update, which you can go ahead and check out here, I've been getting great battery life. And if you want to watch that video, go ahead and click or tap this card right here. If you guys want to see some of my case reviews for the Redmi K20 Pro, go ahead and click right here or tap down here. If you guys want to see other videos about things like the Xiaomi AirDots Pro, go ahead and click this video here. And until next time, it's been Mitchell coming to you from Hanoi. Peace.